like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Boruto episode 187. Alright guys, this episode right here was super eventful. By the way, this is an anime only friendly episode review, so of course I'm not necessarily going to spoil anything too crazy for the anime onlys out there, but the first thing that I definitely want to talk about has to be Boruto's karma. So this has been some time in the coming. As you guys know, over 186 episodes ago, we actually got to see Boruto's karma activated for the first time in episode 1. Now, I'm not necessarily going to say it's anything too crazy, man, because when Boruto first activated, he didn't necessarily get to do a lot with it. What we understood, especially from the Boruto manga, is that Boruto is not necessarily going to automatically off of the rip get a lot of the abilities that the karma seal can potentially have. Boruto absorbed a sealing jutsu and also absorbed indistinguishable flames from Kashin Koji. Now, the indistinguishable flames reminds me a lot of Sasuke's Amaterasu, and one of the best things to do against Sasuke's Amaterasu is of course to absorb the chakra. Now we understand that Boruto potentially can do something like that. I don't know if Sasuke pulls up into Boruto some sort of way, or if they have some sort of disagreement about Boruto dating his daughter. But after that, we've seen an obvious downside. Boruto completely fainted. Now, I don't necessarily expect this right here to actually continue. It might be a situation where after Boruto uses the karma seal, he might actually feel a bit fatigued, but for him to actually faint, it doesn't necessarily seem like it's going to be a reoccurring theme. One of the reasons why I think that is because once Kashin Koji seen that Boruto fainted, Kashin Koji immediately said that this was the first time that Boruto actually did it. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Kashin Koji has a karma seal so he would know, but I'm pretty sure Kashin Koji has been around people with karma seals because he is in the Kado organization, so he should know how people do actually react after the first time of them using a karma seal. Now, to the speculation part of the karma seal, one of the questions that I have, and this was pretty much a very popular question back in the day, a popular question was if Boruto could actually use the chakra again, and if Boruto could actually magnify the chakra that he did absorb. So for example, if Boruto were to actually get into a fight in the next episode, potentially even with say Kawaki or something like that, could Boruto use those indistinguishable flames, or could Boruto use that sealing jutsu? One of the reasons why we did have this question is because obviously Boruto got the karma seal from Momoshiki, and one of the biggest abilities that Momoshiki did actually have was absorbing chakra and magnifying it 2 times or even 10-fold sometimes. So this right here is actually going to be something that we should be looking forward to in the next episode, potentially if he does fight against Kawaki or something like that, or if he does fight against somebody else that tries to pull up from the Kado organization. Now, the next thing that I do want to talk about has to be Kashin Koji. I do want to kind of comment on this. This won't necessarily be spoilers, quote unquote, but this will be very interesting to the manga readers out here. In this episode right here, Kashin Koji was 100% committed to actually killing not only Konohamaru, but also Boruto as well. When Kashin Koji pulled up, it was pretty much everything that I expected it to be. However, there were still a couple of interesting things that we did see in this episode. One of the first things being is that the Boruto writers are pretty much playing with everybody's souls as of right now, especially when we're seeing this in the Boruto manga. We automatically understood that the Boruto writers were definitely leaning into a lot of the theories that Kashin Koji potentially had something to do with Jiraiya. Of course, a lot of people thought that Kashin Koji could potentially even be Jiraiya's nephew, something to do with Jiraiya, and of course, in this episode, they leaned into it extremely heavily. First things first, we've seen Kashin Koji use a summoning jutsu, which is obviously a toad. Obviously, we understand that Jiraiya's summoning jutsus were toads as well, and of course, he went to Mount Miyaboku for that. One of the questions that I definitely do have is, why does Naruto know about Kashin Koji? We understand that Naruto has a lot of relationships in Mount Miyaboku, and if a Kado organization member, an insider, went to Mount Miyaboku and signed contracts for toads, that right there should possibly set off some red flags within Mount Miyaboku, and I'm pretty sure that they would immediately try to tell Naruto, the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. Now, that right there wasn't the only thing that connected Kashin Koji to Jiraiya. Obviously, we also seen Kashin Koji use a Rasengan. Now, I talked about this a bit in my spoiler review. I talked about how Konohama's Rasengan isn't necessarily a regular Rasengan. Konohama's Rasengan is mixed with wind style. It's not necessarily a flat-out full-blown Rasen Shuriken that Naruto has, and of course, it's not that powerful either, but Konohama's Rasengan, comparable to regular Rasengans, is a lot stronger. And of course, Kashin Koji in this episode completely matched that. But everything else, it was complete and utter domination by Kashin Koji. We understand now that Kashin Koji is a lot faster, a lot stronger, and has even better ninjutsu than pretty much everybody in Team 7. Not only that, Kashin Koji also said that he was leagues ahead of Ao, and that right there in itself is notable because Ao himself was about to literally solo Team 7. Now, just like in the Boruto manga, Konohamaru also did not lay a blow on Kashin Koji. The Boruto anime did this fight a lot of justice though. In the Boruto manga, we didn't necessarily get to see a lot of this fight. For example, I think it was about like, I'd say 8 to 10 pages. In this episode though, it was pretty much about half of the episode, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be very excited and very happy about that. Now, one of the things that Konohamaru actually hinted to in this episode was that Kashin Koji's chakra was different. One of the popular theories around the Kata organization is that a lot of them are genetically altered by scientific technology. The thing that really pushes back against this idea is that a lot of things that Kashin Koji did actually came from regular ninjutsu. For example, the summoning jutsu, the sealing jutsu, and even Konohamaru said himself that the Rasengan came from actual jutsu. It was not a scientific technology based attack. So of course, in this particular situation, it doesn't necessarily seem that likely that Kashin Koji is actually altered by scientific technology. But early in this arc, if you guys do recall, Amato said he wants to do quote unquote maintenance on everybody in the Kata organization. Now, of course, regular people don't necessarily need maintenance from a computer. So of course, this definitely does make it seem that Kashin Koji isn't necessarily a quote unquote regular shinobi. So I think that this quote right here from Konohamaru definitely does signify that something is a little bit off about Kashin Koji. I'm not saying that he's a full-blown robot, because a lot of things that Kashin Koji does comes directly from actual ninjutsu, but he's not 100% there. Now, also speaking about Kashin Koji, there's always going to be these kinds of scenes that just cuts towards the Kata organization and shows us exactly what they're going on with. It seems like they're still on the chase to figure out exactly who the traitor is, and at this particular point, it seems that Kashin Koji is going to be the #1 suspect. Now, from Delta's point of view, she said that Boruto was cleared. From Amato's point of view, Amato said that Kashin Koji and Boruto were both not cleared. So of course, I'm still kind of confused about exactly how Delta came to the conclusion that Boruto himself is cleared. But regardless, from this we can understand that Kashin Koji is going to be on full surveillance alert. Everybody wants to figure out exactly what Kashin Koji has to do with the disappearance of Kawaki himself. Now, arguably the biggest portion of this episode has to be the appearance of Kawaki. Kawaki finally shows up. This right here is very similar to the Karma Seal, where this has been literally years in the making. We've seen Kawaki in the first episode and the first chapter of the Boruto series, and now we finally get to see him 187 episodes deep into the Boruto anime. A lot of people might actually say that this right here was too long of a wait, and I might actually agree with you guys as well. Now, off of the rip, it seems like Kawaki is going to be a lot stronger than pretty much everybody in Team 7. From what we've seen is that there were multiple of those quote-unquote puppets or scientific technology puppets that were just completely destroyed. From what we've seen, all of Team 7, possibly I'd say Mitsuki if he went to Sage Mode, nobody could actually destroy these puppets. They disabled them, yes, but they didn't necessarily destroy the puppets in battle. From what we've seen right here, it looks like Kawaki himself actually destroyed these puppets in battle. So off of the rip, it looks like Kawaki is going to be a lot stronger than everybody in Team 7. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I think that if Kawaki would actually activate his Karma Seal, he might actually be able to actually solo Team 7, which would be absolutely insane. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section below, and give me some of your opinions about the things that we did see in this episode. What are some of your opinions about Kashin Koji actually in battle? How do you think that Kashin Koji would match up with Deepa? I think I'll probably make a video about that later on in the week, but I think that right there would definitely be interesting. And not only that, the Karma Seal as well. But it's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.